Welcome to Curious Wings Learning Platform and Envision to empower through education. So, in last module we saw about a brief introduction on how important the research is. Now, without any further delay, let's move into the module 2. Research skill, a valuable skill. All skills are valuable, and whatever we learn will surely come in handy to us at some point of the other stages of our life. But research skill is an important soft skill because of the ability to perceive, understand, and the urge to develop the curiosity to know more is an exceptional one. To develop a mind which is fond of research, you will need to ignite the curiosity in you. Curiosity is a state of mind which drives into exploring and increases the solutions that you can find out for a particular problem. Look out at any situation around you and question why it is the way it is. You might not find an answer immediately, but a thought will linger on for some time. Before questioning why a situation is in a certain way, analyze its causes. Analyze the deep-rooted problems, address it as an issue, and look for a loophole that can work as a possible fix. To explain what is said above, look at the following situation. There is a term called postpartum depression. This term means that a new mother will fall into depression often due to her inability to bond with the baby, which is due to a drop in her hormone levels. This drop in hormone level is caused by the body's reaction to a new environment wherein the uterus does not house the fetus anymore. The body begins to revert to its old ways, continuing the circle and bringing things to however they were before. During this process, the mind responds to the body's behavioral change by causing irritability, stress, and other symptoms. The mother may face a loss of appetite, some stress, prolonged irritation, and every other possible feeling that a depressed person might have, and this condition is termed as the postpartum depression. If not dealt with correctly, the mother may fall into an unending well of depression and face severe changes in her way of functioning with the passing time. She can blame herself, or the depression may even increase to an extent where unintended self-harm is inflicted. We need to understand that the above condition is solely due to chemical, physical, and mental responses in the body which are a result of a particular event. When the first case of postpartum depression was reported, it was thought to be insanity. Then, as time passed, similar patterns were noticed in many women who fell into depression after giving birth. This resulted in the need for a solution. A lot of women were getting suicidal and even lost their abilities to make their own decisions. So, a group of women who had similar postpartum depression patterns was studied for their emotional, behavioral, and cognitive abilities before and after childbirth. Samples were collected which turned out to be evidence to prove that the mind was responding to the chemical changes. To tackle this situation, which was mostly associated with the mind and its way of functioning, it was concluded that talking to a mental health expert about one's situation and seeking therapy and help from a professional was the only way. This was tried on several women in the time that followed, and most women successfully got rid of postpartum depression in a time shorter than the expected recovery time. Later on, studies suggested that not only do women experience postpartum depression, but it occurs in men as well. And studies suggested that the most suitable method to tackle postpartum depression in men was also counseling from the right people. From above it can be concluded that when we are faced with a problem, we need to perceive it from all sides, from the root to result. Only then we will be able to come up with a convincing solution. The cause was first noted, observed, analyzed. Similar patterns were subjected to experimenting. This was followed by a keen observation of the outcomes, and finally, whether or not the outcome is generalized and will work to the same extent on every patient that experiences this trauma. If not, a separate set of medicines and alternatives will be studied and discovered for the patient with an extreme set of symptoms, and such a patient will be called a specimen. All of the above can only be achieved when we have a curious mind. The relation between a curious mind and some life-changing situation is that we will be ready to face the consequences of our actions and completely own up to our actions. We know that our experiments to reach an outcome will have an aftermath, but that won't affect us much because we were the ones who at least took the challenge to tackle the situation in the first place. To develop a research skill and a research oriented mind, we should fill our brain with questions, possible outcomes of our thoughts, what ifs, why nots, and how comes. Research skill is valuable because it teaches us to question existing ways and find out what can be done to improve the quality of life or in what better way can something be used. For time immemorial, things, people, and every other part of nature have been studied extensively to find out what other use they can be done to the ever evolving world. Studying on a particular item has made it easier for everyone to arrive at conclusions, discoveries, inventions, and also made living uncomplicated. These studies were found to be the need of the hour when what was already in hand had either reduced in quantity, quality, or had not adapted to the necessary conditions. These studies are referred to as researches, wherein a particular topic is searched about extensively to understand its unending capabilities and whether or not it will cater to the needs of the society.